Okay, Thursday, 11th of September, 2025. So, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff Ben should know. Bitcoin is pure energy. Bitcoin is the closest thing we have to pure energy. Now, this is interesting because it kind of piggybacks on a video I did months ago about Bitcoin a thought experiment, where we're looking at different things: shells, cars, hay, straw, books, bread, tobacco, you name it, and how they hold up as a form of money. They deteriorate, not portable, not divisible, you name it, things like that. All the usual buzzwords in regards to what defines good money. But we can go deeper because ultimately those things are expressions of energy. We know that law of thermodynamics and energy. Law energy is not created or destroyed, merely transferred. So we could say then, at a real meta level, those forms of old forms of money, shells or straw or tobacco. The sun grows plants, and we take that plant and use its energy. Ah, the solar system, the nebulas, God in a poetic sense, the universe creates all these things, these elements: gold, silver, you name it, copper and beyond, palladium, you name it. So those things are, so we as humans are once removed from pure energy via this thing: straw, tobacco, livestock, seashells, gold, silver, palladium, you name it, copper, very nice, tin, you name it, commodity currencies. Those things are once removed from pure energy. And it's pure energy that we want in the sense of the purest way to store our energy. As in, you work 1 hour for, pick a number, 10, 20, 100 quid, £100. How are you going to put that £100? You've exchanged your time for labour for money. How are you going to put that time into something that can last forever? Meaning something that has no decay, no entropy. And we could argue, say, the sun, energy, pure energy in a bottled container form has no entropy. Just imagine now putting pure energy, pure sun energy in a bottle, and it does not decay. Or if it does decay, it's infinitesimally small, so the half life is 1 billion years, meaning it'll decrease by 50% over 1 billion years. Something infinitesimal as that. That's the law. That's the rule of 72 in finance. You take the interest rate. Take 72 divided by the interest rate, and that's how long it takes something to double. Do the opposite of that, and that's how long things take to decrease by 50%. Very interesting. And then you take the inflation rate of, say, gold. How much more gold is there being created in the world? 2% over 35 years. Your purchasing power, when priced in gold, is cut in half. But as Bitcoin slowly goes through each halvening, each subsequent halvening, essentially goes to infinitesimally zero. That means that is the purest form of energy, mathematically speaking, that we can store our time and energy in, as a bottle of pure energy, as close as possible to say the sun, to solar fusion, fission, fusion. I always get which one mixed up, but as close as possible to pure kilojoules, pure kilowatts, pure energy. It's that. That's powerful because it's shedding the physical world, Bitcoin, and goes closer to energy. And then you could say, what's backing Bitcoin? Just how in the same way that energy backs gold, you could argue that energy backs Bitcoin. What backs tobacco? Well, solar power, you could say, nutrients from the ground, nature, laws of physics. And what do I always say as well? Bitcoin is essentially maths, computer science, and physics in terms of proof of work. And that itself is an interesting thing at a protocol level, where to say, to get more Bitcoin, you have to put in the energy. You have to spend time, waking time, logistics, time, life to build, create, and do stuff, or build a business, and put that into Bitcoin. Whoa, that's interesting. You can't just create it from thin air like you can with banks, with regards to quantitative easing or fractional reserve lending, or even who knows what else is out there, and what else will be conceived in the future. And that is essentially proof of stake. You own something, and therefore it generates more of it from thin air. Oh, interesting. But if it's proof of work, you have to put in the effort and energy to create it. In the same way, you could say that crops are proof of work. You can't just print wheat. You can't just print corn. You can't just print bread, for example. You can't just print tuna. You can't just print rye, for example. You have to put the energy and time into it. That's why at a meta level, they are a good hedge against inflation, because you have to create a pound of, well, pound, a kilogram of wheat. We have to put the energy and time into it. We can't just create it from thin air. We have to put it in. Therefore, you could argue it's a lot of fixed expenses. Interesting. And those things are going to go up in price. To get 1 kilogram, we need this. And then you could go deeper to say, well, it's 1 kilogram, but not as nutritionally dense. And then at that point, you're kind of splitting hairs with regards to, well, it's a kilogram, but only half as much fiber as before, and things like that. That's a whole other interesting technicality, but fascinating nonetheless. Because that, when you follow that rabbit hole, that goes into value investing. Are you getting the same price what you pay, value is what you get? Are you getting the same bang for your buck, let's say, with regards to this kilogram of wheat? But I digress. With regards to Bitcoin being as close to pure energy as possible, there are as few middlemen, we could say, or nature's middlemen, tobacco, wheat, gold, you name it, and we're getting as close as possible to pure energy, pure kilowatts and joules. Because in one way you could say, in an abstract, almost poetic way, we could say that Bitcoin is bottled electrical energy or electricity, bottled kilojoules, bottled kilowatts. In a sense of bottled, it's now portable, it's now divisible. We can store it, and because of the inflation rate, entropy, it'll last 1,000 years before. Well, not even that. Like the last halving will be in the year 2140, and that, well, you can go deeper to say in 10 or so years, 2030. 35 January, I think it is. That's 99% of them will be mined. So the inflation then will be next to nothing. It'll be negligible. Again, what did I say earlier about even if it's 1 billion years, the half-life? It's on paper it's a problem. It's a problem, but in practice it's so infinitesimal that rule of 72 just it goes into the decades and decades and centuries and millennia. It's not a problem in the real short term. Just how in the same way we could say in 1 billion years the sun will blow up. It's a problem on paper, but come on, tomorrow, next week, next month, it's going to be fine. No worries. Sunset, sunrise, no problems. But that's interesting, because that means that if we compare these different kinds of monies, tobacco, wheat, straw, you name it, gold, silver, Bitcoin is even closer to pure energy. Meaning there's fewer material distractions getting in the way. Durability, for example, weight, for example. Straw has a half-life of, I don't know, a month. I've got no idea. It rots. Well, how long does it take to rot? A month, a week, a year? I've got no idea. How long does it take for supply of gold to increase? Double 35 years. There we are then. How easy is it to move Bitcoin around? Well, it's as light as a feather. How heavy is a wallet? How heavy is it to store 12 key phrases in your mind? Not even 1 gram. Not even 1 gram. Not even a gram. That's powerful. All the rest can't even compare, which is why at a deeper level, this is why people say Bitcoin not crypto, because Bitcoin is a 0 to 1 technology. It is 10x better than anything else out there, than the existing world and other crypto space. With regards to, let's say, all these other businesses out there, Venmo and PayPal and Revolt and Wise, they're all kind of the same, but just a little bit different here, a little different there. Technicalities, legalities, functionality, more or less the same. But Bitcoin's way up here, completely different, where there's no competition. This in marketing is called blue ocean strategy. You're so unique, there's no competition. Same with all the cryptos out there with regards to Bitcoin's first principles. Money you can earn, money you can spend, apolitical, decentralized, fixed supply, and censorship resistant. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. And then you combine that with the Immaculate Conception. Bitcoin was created at a time when no one cared, and then combine that with, or compound that even, with it escaping, it had terminal velocity with regards to hashing power, hash rate, 2013? Certainly 2017, it just skyrockets. Yeah, it's the world's largest supercomputer. Nothing can beat it. Not even quantum computers. It's gone. It's escaped. And that itself is another interesting conversation. But Bitcoin is the closest thing we have to pure energy that has the properties of money and is native for the digital world. Online first, online only. Seed phrases and mind wallet, powerful stuff. That is more powerful than anything else we have out there. So it's the closest thing we have to pure energy. You put your time, you spend 1 hour working, you earn £100, and you put that into Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin will not melt away through inflation, but increase over time with deflation. That's powerful. But via the first principle of its fixed supply. And I always say Bitcoin is maths, physics, and computer science. Open source code. Powerful stuff. Powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff mentioned now. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.